Hi, I am Dr. Nakiba Jackson, and welcome to Freedom Fridays. Welcome again to Freedom Friday, and I am Dr. Nakiba Jackson, and my special guest tonight is none other than my brother. Introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Martin Granger.
So, as you guys have been following my channel, I've been talking about my wellness journey. I've been doing different things for myself just to make sure that I'm on the track of losing weight, getting healthier, and being more fit also. And to me, it's more than just taking time to eat certain things, to do certain things. It starts to me with your mind. And years ago, I can say when I started part of my journey, because I've been on this journey a lifelong time, and so I can recall there was a time when I started with Tiffany Roth, and I learned about the Mother Nature's cleanse, and I was always looking for someone to join me. He knows where I'm going with this, and so I remember I was like, "Let's do this," because it's always felt like lonely doing certain things, and I can remember one thing my brother said because he's a little younger than I am, and he was like, "Oh, I could not see myself without eating meat." And so if you've been following my journey, you've known that some point I've taken the time to juice 100%. I've been eating raw certain times and not eating meat. And so one of the people that I will say that's been very supportive of me in this journey, especially, is my brother. Not taking away anything from anyone else, but it's really about him being supportive. And I will say it's great to have support. When you have support, people that have a like mindset, or even when people are supporting you doesn't necessarily mean doing what you do, but understanding where you are, what the journey is about, and working towards helping you meet your goals. So my brother, like I said, he was that one that said, "Oh, I could not see myself not eating meat." Ugh. And then some years ago, he started his journey. And when he started his journey, I watched him do his journey, and I'll tell you, for me, and I don't know if he's ever heard this. Sometimes I would just think like, "But if you would have just did it when I did it, if I would have had the support, then we wouldn't be where we are. I wouldn't be where I'm at." But it wasn't about me; it was about him. And what I'll say for each person individually, you always got to figure out what your why is. You don't always need someone to be there alone to do what you do, but you got to remember what your mindset is. So, my brother, like I said, I just wanted to share with you a little bit about him. Can you tell us a little about you? Because he's a Martin of all trades, because he does so many different things. But tonight, I want to talk specifically because I'm so proud of him, of what he's accomplished in so many different things in this specific area, and food and wellness. He's been my inspiration, because times when I wanted to not do anything, I turn around and there he is giving me tips on what to do, how I can stay motivated and how I can stay focused, how I can stay healthy and well. He's not a doctor. He does things just based off of his lifestyle and what he's wanted. So, and this is really, he doesn't know exactly everything I'm talking about. So I just wanted to make this about him more so than about me. Just tell everyone about who you are and what you're doing specifically, because he created a product tonight that I want to talk about. So go ahead.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Again, my name is Martin Granger. And a few years ago in 2017, I actually started my vegan journey. It was for health reasons initially. And then it just kind of trickled on into other things. I had really, really bad allergies. And then at that time, I decided that I was going to change my diet. Like Nakiba said, I was one of those people who said, I'm not doing that. Like I'm not eating meat. But even before that, I used to play around with seeing how many days I can go without eating meat in my diet, and I would get to like maybe day 2 or day 3 when I say, okay, I need to eat something else.
Can I stop you real quick? You said you had allergies. What kind of allergies did you have?
I was allergic to everything. Allergic to walnut trees. I was allergic to to almost everything under the sun. Whenever the seasons changed, I would sneeze, and I would be coughing. I would think I would just be getting a cold every year, but what was really happening is that my allergies were reacting, and so every season, different trees bloom or they produce like sap or something in the air, and so I was allergic to almost to trees that were blooming in every season. So when I say allergies, like they were allergies that I was reacting to so many different things. And it was interesting because when I grew up not thinking I had allergies at all. I didn't think that I was allergic to anything, but I finally went to an ear, nose, and throat doctor in 2017, maybe at the end of 2016, and that's whenever I found out that I was allergic to almost everything under the sun. That's what I say.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was why I started that vegan journey, and then I don't know exactly how far you want me to go into what you just asked, but one of the things that I recently did was I had a friend who had some health issues, and we were talking, and she wanted I'm always talking to people about eating better, or just adding some things into their lifestyle or into their food that can help them over the course of their life. And so I was talking to this one friend who swears she doesn't eat enough vegetables, fruits and vegetables. And so I we were just casually talking one day, and I said, well, what if you could just eat vegan one day out of the week? And she said, well, you know what, I can do that. And I said, really? Are you sure? And she said, yeah, just if you can give me some food to eat, I can do that. I can commit to that. And so from that, I did that. I got a list of some foods that she could eat, and then I worked on it and sent it over to her because she agreed to it. So I don't know if that's what you're asking, but yeah, so that's kind of one of the things that I've been working on as far as health and wellness is concerned.
So when you talk about specifically when you had your allergy issues, and you said in the 2016, and then you start making the change within your diet and stuff for 2017, and started changing what you ate, what are some of the things that you went through or you experienced that you feel like now maybe then was maybe different from now, if that makes sense. So what were some of the challenges? I would say what your challenges, if any, that you had back then when you were working towards.
I had a lot of challenges.
What
I
was your initial goal? That's the first question.
and I was going to say, so when I started, I honestly did not have a real plan in place, and I think that was probably one of the biggest challenges for me, because I started saying, okay, I'm going to be. I started with just I cut out. I was pescatarian, so I cut out everything except for fish. And then at some point, I eventually cut fish out, maybe like maybe 4 or 5 months after that. And in that process, I was saying, hey, I'm vegan, but then I was still having allergy issues. And again, I didn't realize some of these things were actually allergy issues until I cut a lot of it out. I eliminated a lot of different things from my diet. And so I was talking to a friend one day, and I was telling him, hey, I'm vegan or something like that, we were saying. And he was like, well, you're eating those gummy bears, those are not vegan, right? And I'm like, are you kidding me? And so like that caused me to just start looking at everything, just reading all the labels and saying, okay, just because it's candy, it doesn't mean it's not vegan, or that doesn't mean it's vegan. And so I realized that gelatin exists in a lot of food. Gelatin is animal fat. And so what I realized whenever I stopped eating that is that I had reactions to certain things again that I didn't really realize. And so once I stopped eating certain foods like the candy, like gummy bears specifically, because I love gummy bears. I really miss those. But once I stopped eating those, I stopped having certain reactions, and like I would have these canker sores in my mouth that I never knew why they would get there, but I realized at some point that those were a part of the cause of it. When I stopped drinking milk or stopped eating cheese and dairy, then I stopped having so many sinus issues. And it's not like I noticed it overnight. It was really maybe at some point I was just like, hey, I didn't get sick this year. I didn't get a cold this year, what I thought was a cold. And but honestly, to answer your question though, I didn't really have a plan. I just knew that I wasn't going to eat meat anymore. And then or meat and then dairy. And then at some point I started noticing changes and started noticing that I was feeling a little better. And I'm not going to say I was feeling 100% better, but those things, those allergies, those problems went away.
So as you started having those changes, what were some of the other challenges that you may have experienced even as you were going through your journey, whether it was internal, external to you, or just anything? Was it ever a point that you said you were going to just stop, that you didn't think it was worth it? And
Yeah,
if
yeah. So there were times. One of my biggest challenges with not having a plan was that there would be sometimes when I would get really, really hungry, and I didn't have my food planned out. I didn't have food available to me, like to eat, or that was prepared already. So I told myself that I wasn't gonna, like there weren't really a lot of fast food places that I could get food from that I could trust that it was fully vegan. And so, and I didn't want to just eat fries all the time. A lot of times that's like a go-to for a lot of people. And so I didn't want to do that. So there were sometimes I would go to sleep hungry because I'm like, I don't have food cooked right now. So I'll just go to sleep and think about this tomorrow. So I didn't have a plan. And if I had a plan, it would have been a lot better. I earlier on I was like being really, really, really strict. And I mean, you know this, like I was introduced to Dr. Sabi through you years prior to that. And a couple of years, maybe about a year and a half before I actually dove into being a vegan, I was looking and learning a lot about the Dr. Sabi alkaline lifestyle. And so I went to that full extreme. And so a lot of that I was only eating foods from that list, which is very, very restrictive. And so there were so many things that I didn't have the option to eat because I was being very restrictive on my diet. And so that was a big challenge because I didn't plan certain things. And once I didn't do that, I did that for a while, but at some point I decided that I needed to come up with a better plan of a better approach. And then that's whenever I started planning meals. And at some point I knew what was in certain foods because I had read so many labels. And so it almost became second nature to just double check certain things. And so it was really rough at first, honestly. It was a big transition for me, but at some point I think it became second nature to just look for certain things that was in the food. I hope that answers
so
the question.
it does. And one question I have, because I guess it's kind of biased because I kind of know my experience with it. So my experience in many cases is like where I live, I feel like the options are more scarce for me. What did you experience something where you had scarce options for yourself? And the person you were back then versus the person you are today, what would be something, if you had told yourself what to do to stay on your journey, what is something that you could have told yourself or you would tell yourself back then to motivate you to stay? Like I said, it's very biased because I'm already assuming I know the answer.
You said you're assuming you know the answer. I don't know that I know the answer to
No,
that.
I'm talking
So,
about if it was difficult, if it was challenging for yourself at all.
mhm.
What if it was scarce? I'm thinking that I'm assuming that it was scarce. Certain things were scarce for you back in those days when you started years ago, as opposed to what it is now.
So yeah, so honestly, back then, like I said, over time it became second nature to look for certain foods. But back then I didn't know. I didn't really have a lot of experience to say, hey, what is this? What kind of food can I eat? And I think over time I started looking for certain things. So or I just became aware of where I needed to go to find things because that was it. Things were scarce, or I would say they were scarce, but they were scarce because I didn't know where to look. So for instance, here in, I live in a bigger city. So and I'm grateful for that, because I realize whenever I leave out of the city, I can't find certain foods. So I can find certain foods, a big variety of foods at farmers markets. So I stopped going to just regular grocery stores, and I started looking through farmers markets to find the food that I want to eat. But if there was something I could tell myself back then, I would say, to look around, because and even now, one thing that I experience is that after a certain time of the day, my options for food are limited. If I'm going to go somewhere and get food, my options are going to be limited the longer I wait. So I almost have to eat. I almost have to, like, again, prepare. I need to have the food available for myself, or be ready to go somewhere earlier in the day to find the food that I want.
Okay. So, one last question, because this could go on, and I don't really want it to go on because I do love this topic and I love you about it.
I love to talk about food.
I know, and I feel like for me, and there's like I said, I just want to share with everyone. Like for me, he and I, we have similar views on certain things, but we connect because of our journey, and our journey has I feel like he's helped me with my journey, and I believe I've helped him in his journey at some time.
Yeah.
So for that being said, one of the things that I recognize is that it totally requires you to have a focus on what you really want for yourself. There are going to be times when, regardless of what you're doing for yourself, that you might not have someone there in your ear telling you or encouraging you and pushing you along the way. um, you got to go back to your why you're doing it. What's the benefit that you're going to get, and what's the outcome that you're looking for? And like I said, he's been on this journey for since 2017, and I watched him through so many different things. I watched him, our family, my mom loves to cook, like she's bakes sweets, and for a vegan, from what I've seen, especially with my brother, like there's no eggs, there's no milk, there's a lot of things that's in the cakes that she makes. He like I know he loved red velvet cake, just different things. And I'll say for me, one of the things that it helped me do, because we've connected in the past through food. And so one of the things that I've learned from his journey is you can allow food to be something that helps connect you, or you can allow it to tear you apart. And so for me, I've learned how to have things in my house just to have it prepared. So, because I remember when I was doing certain things and I felt by myself. And I know for me, yeah, when you come to visit someone, I want to feel like I'm welcome, but I don't want to feel isolated. And so there are certain things that I would keep in my house just so I can have. So when he's here, he can go through what I got and try. And it's like, I bet you don't have, I bet you I do. So like I have lentils, for me, like dried lentils, because to me lentils is very easy to cook. Then I would keep quinoa. I actually don't have none right now. Just cook the last little bit of it. Um, and then for me, like greens, certain types of greens are easy to find. He's more into organic stuff. But sometimes when you go out, this to me it's a thing where you look, investing in yourself, of course, with the organic is worth it. But sometimes when you have your funds and you're trying to make sure you want to do certain things, you do what you can to make sure you're still being mindful of it. Um,
Right.
those are some of the things that I just kind of keep. And then even with some of the it's more of a fresh thing for him. So like some of the seasonings, I try to keep seasonings. And one of the things I learned when we went to visit my grandma, you got to be careful of the season. It's like when you really think something is truly vegan, you got to look at the label, because what one of those seasonings that we found, it had what, traces of milk or something in there.
Yeah, I think it was onion powder or garlic powder, and it's like I hadn't even seen that before, and I think it's really the brand. A lot of times, it's the
Yeah.
brand that you get that can have stuff in there. So yeah, I think it was good. It was either onion or garlic powder.
Yeah. So for me, like it's things that I'll try that he would be like, mm-mm, I'm not going to try that. And it's all right, but it's fun. It's fun when you have someone that you can do it with. But whether you have someone else to do it with or not, it's about what you want to do for yourself. And so for me, one of the things that I've learned is we all need more fruits and vegetables in our lives. That's what I'll say. We all need fresh fruits and vegetables in our life. That's why when I was working through the journey that I've been working through, when I got stuck, a lot of times I got stuck because I wasn't eating enough fruits or vegetables. Sometimes I'm doing things just to help me along the way. That's why you'll see me juicing sometimes. And I'm like, hey, I don't feel like cooking or doing this. So I'll just juice my vegetables and just go ahead. That way I got my vegetables. Some people say that's not good, like if you're diabetic, because it separates the pulp and stuff. I just say you talk to your doctor, you do what works for you. I've eaten raw. My brother shared one of his books with me that that I've enjoyed, learning how to soak like the different types of nuts so you can make it like a meat type substance. I've learned how to make my own milk, like hemp milk. Hemp milk to me is one of the easier milks to make because I'm not a great preparer of stuff all the time. Almond milk, cashew milk, just different things that you can really do to.
So
Yeah, and so there's different things that I've learned from him. And so for me, the point that I really want to say, like, we're free to be a vegan for a day, right? So being free to be a vegan for a day, to me, um we he and I, we talked about this a lot, about dispelling some of the things that people think about vegan, like it's hard, it's expensive, and it's all these things. But um I'll tell you, I'm that person. It's very easy to go to a fast food restaurant and get something to eat. But when you get that stuff and eat it, the way your body digests it, it stays in your system for so long. And so to me, what if we told ourselves that we definitely get to eat more fruits and vegetables? And if you say, I can't do that, I can't do it, why not try it for a day just to see how you feel? Um, to me, when we think we're hungry, a lot of times there's so many different things that you're missing. Um, like you're not drinking enough water, you're definitely not getting enough fruits and vegetables, because a lot of fruits and vegetables give you hydration anyway, just
right.
on a regular basis. So that's what I just wanted to talk to my brother about, just to kind of introduce you to him, let you know a little bit about his journey and his story, because he's been a great inspiration to me. And my sister and I just had to push him through this tonight, because he's sitting on a lot of gems. When I say a lot of gems, like he's like the master of a lot of things that he does. And when he wants to do something, he's an alchemist, if that's the right way to pronounce it. He creates these different things. And so because he's the person that he is, he created his book. What's your book called?
It is the 1 day a week vegan, a meal plan jumpstart.
So it's a meal plan jumpstart. For me, when I saw it, it's something so simple that allows people, to me, it dispels like I can't eat vegan, or it's too expensive. It's this, is that. He walks you through his process. He gives you idea of how to shop, what to get, substitutes, and very simple, easy, and it's available where?
It is available on Amazon. So we will put a link in the description box below. But you can purchase the book. It is, again, it's 1 day a week vegan, a meal plan jumpstart. So thank you.
Yes. So, like I said, you check like for me, when I look at it, it's very simple, easy to follow. It just gives you a sample of what to do. There's many people like myself say, I don't know what to eat, and all these different things. And so take it from someone that's been there, done that. Even for him, like if you look at him, you don't know his story by looking at him. He's come a long way from, from the person that, like, we cook out on the grill all that time, stuff like.
Yeah.
And
I mean, and I used to say, I like I said, we said earlier, I used to say I would never not eat meat. I mean, ribs, pork ribs, beef ribs,
like,
you name it. I didn't. Food was not something that I didn't like. I like all kinds of food. So Me changing my diet, it changed myself. Like, and I said, it wasn't even I didn't know how extreme I would go. I didn't even know that I could go as long as I did before I did it. And it's just interesting what you tell yourself. And so, kind of going back to what you say you can't do and what you say you won't do, you have to really be mindful of those things, because you just never know. And when you change, and then the purpose is like, when I realized that I I was not being, I wasn't as sick as I once was, or when I realized that I was sicker than I had realized, then then it was hard for me to go back, and hard for me to really like overhaul what I have done over the past few years. So it's helped me to become more mindful. Because one thing I wanted to say real quick is that a lot of times whenever we eat, we are not eating because we're hungry. We're not necessarily eating for nutrition. We're eating because we want something to taste good. And that's okay. It's okay to have food that tastes good, but a lot of times we forget the nutritional value of it. And so that's whenever our fruits get left off. That's whenever our vegetables get left off. That's whenever our food gets overcooked. That's whenever, we start adding all these extra seasonings in there that are just, even though it is vegetables you're eating, like, you cooked all the nutrients out of it. So it's almost like you're just eating it. Just, again, it's just to eat. So I eat fresh. I try to eat as fresh as possible whenever I can, but not always. Sometimes I like to indulge in a couple other things, but it's about just being mindful of it. And I think that's really the key, is to say, hey, I want to eat for nutrition today. And if you can just eat for nutrition at least one day out of the week, and at the end of the year, you can say, hey, this has been 52 days that I've eaten healthier, and I've actually eaten for nutrition, as opposed to some days whenever people don't really eat for nutrition, or some years when people don't eat for nutrition at all. So that's really what the whole gist of it is. It's like, hey, let's eat for nutrition, and not just for taste all the time. Let's add some of this health in here, so that our bodies can regenerate, and that we can live healthier lives.
And I do want to add this. And you can eat for nutrition, and your food can actually be tasty as well. I will say a lot of the times that the food that we eat, and I say it because I'm guilty of it, you'll find when you start cutting certain things out of your diet, um, if you introduce certain things back, your taste buds change. Um, I have more cravings for certain things that taste a certain type of way, and then if I eat something with more, artificial things, I can taste the difference. And so and that's, to me, that's not a myth. That's been my reality for me. So, um, he talk about the stuff cut up your mouth. My mouth cut up right now. Out of some of the things that he talked about.
Right. And then that's what I'm saying. Like, and if I eat something and I don't necessarily know where it came from, I may have a reaction to it. And I can tell at that point, okay, I've eaten something that my body doesn't agree with. And so that's kind of, it can be annoying sometimes, but at least I know, hey, I'm reacting to something that 9 times out of 10, I'm reacting to something that I've eaten, that I
So,
almost had no business eating.
so the last thing I want to say, like I said, because we could do this all night long. What's the biggest myth that you would like to dispel about being vegan, or even eating vegan meals, or just anything about vegan? What one of the biggest myths, or you can do top three if you can't narrow it down to one.
Um, probably one of the biggest ones we just talked about is that the food is, well, I can think of two. Number one is that the food is nasty, or the food can't taste good. That's absolutely not true. So I think that's probably one of the biggest ones. And then another one that I would say is that a big myth is that you can't get protein from eating vegetables, and that's also a very, very huge myth, because and I not to go too deep into this topic, but there's something coming for that as well. But if you look at the strongest animals in the animal kingdom, all of them are vegan. Like, the biggest land animals that we know of, elephants. rhinoceros, all of them, and think cows, they all eat plants, and they are strong. Like they're some of the what's that? You
Cows.
said
Cow tastes good.
but the thing is, they eat vegetables, they eat plants, and so they're some of the strongest ones. Even gorillas, they're some of the strongest animals that we know. And so I just want to say that protein not being available for vegans is probably one of the biggest myths, and it's just about how much you want to eat. I can eat, if there are bodybuilders who are vegan. There are people who have some really really strict regimens, and they just cycle their food a certain way. So I think those two are probably the biggest ones, that you can't get protein from being vegan, and that food can't taste good.
Thank you. Thank you. And I will share this real quick. And like I said, we'll end it with a last thought from you. When I did my juicing for the 21 days or the 11 days that I did it, um, I did work out. And it wasn't just no any type of small workout. I worked out with Tiffany Roth, and she likes to work out. She wakes up and works out. She goes to sleep and work out. She works out. And I did feel very energized. I did not feel, in the beginning, of course, depending on what your diet is, like I said, anything you want to do, you figure out a way to get it done. And so, like I said, our philosophies, mesh with each other. Whereas I'm not saying go this way, don't go this way. I'm saying try something new for yourself. Be free to try being totally vegan just for one day out the week, and your body won't regret it.
At all.
Anything else you would like to share with us?
Just one last thing is that I um as you've seen me go through certain things, and I just want to say I thank you for your support, and I thank you for having me on your platform. I thank you for your continued support. There have been times whenever I've been on that vegan journey and on this book journey, and I have stalled, but I think it's really good to have a strong support system around you. And I thank you for being one of my biggest supporters. You and my family, you guys are really, really, really some of my biggest supporters, and I thank you for that. Even when I went on that vegan journey, like, no, everybody's not vegan, but the fact that everybody kind of, just kind of rallied and said, "Hey, well, let's think about him. Or what are we going to cook? What are we going to prepare?" And even you guys have gotten creative about having certain foods, and you've cooked certain things for me that you probably wouldn't necessarily eat for yourself all the time, but you'll cook it for me. And the same thing with our mom, our sisters. So I appreciate that. I thank you for the support, and um, yeah, thank you.
And thank you for introducing us to a healthier lifestyle and letting us see that it's possible. Pushing us beyond what we thought that we couldn't do to allow us to even be healthier. Because I do definitely feel more healthier as a result of you being the person that you are and staying committed and consistent with it. It motivates me a lot of the times. I mean, it's helped me a lot. So thank you too. And thank you for guest appearing on my show tonight. I did have another one planned, but like I said, this to me is me supporting you because it's important. And I think it's important for this message to get out because I believe other people can connect and at least give them an opportunity to see what it's like. And if they want more, I feel like there'll be more to come.
Yes, thank you again.
Thank you. So remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you want to know more about Martin and his journey, I believe there'll be more to come in the future. So just stay connected. Thank you for joining us. Night.
Good night.